Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a chance to fill up your cups, to get your caffeine levels straight, getting hydrated, whatever you need. And in the absence of a real bell, I thought I'd just start talking to see if that has a similar effect. Because we are about to start our next session, and I'm so happy to welcome Yorai to the stage. And it's about drama, right? We know what this is about. And we're familiar with farce, tragedy, comedy, and as we know, enterprises rarely disappoint in serving us operatic levels of drama, especially when there's multi-stakeholder innovation in the game. In this chosen drama, Yorai plays the director, I would say, because you have orchestrated innovation processes for very high-impact clients, such as the Israeli Prime Minister. Joining us from Tel Aviv and sharing from his book, The Innovators Drama, author, practitioner, and teacher Yorai is here to get us to the right type of drama, and also sharing how mindfulness can get us there. So please give him a very warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So this is all very exciting. It doesn't matter how many talks you give, I always get nervous and anxious and anxiety while giving a talk. So, not learning from previous lessons, I spent last night, I went to sleep very late after I decided to take some slides out of the presentation to make it more clear and concise. And then I came here in the morning and Milan says, hey, you got an extra 15 minutes. So, talk about drama. As I walked into the building in the morning, excited about this conference, which I love very much, I didn't notice the signs that directed us towards the hall. So I went to the information desk and I asked, how do I get to the conference hall? And the guy was kind of looking at me upset and he said like, oh, you go upstairs. And I said, okay, thank you. And then I went out. I just went 1 meter to the left and I saw that there was a sign there. And I said like, oh, sorry, I didn't notice that. We get these moments every day, every hour, almost every minute, that things are not going exactly as we planned, all right? And these moments are somewhat frustrating, scary, intimidating, but they're also extremely valuable. And I want to talk to you about them. Just to give you a little bit of background, I had a pretty versatile professional career. I started as a developer. I then became an architect, an entrepreneur, an educator. I found myself as a product lead, product manager. And I was constantly kind of looking for disciplines or practices that were more organized, more established, more valuable, more necessary. Because I thought that when I find these disciplines, then I wouldn't be having all these weird tensions and frictions and pushbacks and everything we experience. I then realized after a few rounds that there is no discipline like that. And then I said, well, okay, so how can I use my creativity effectively? And I said, I'm gonna deal with being effectively creative and advise companies and organizations on innovation management, because innovation is where creativity is experienced and practiced. So I became an innovation management advisor, and then things got even worse. Um, there's a lot of ideas related to effective and efficient creativity, and after a while, I decided to gather them into a book and talk about the experience that everyone experiences in transformative and creative enterprises, but we rarely talk about them. We kind of highlight them, but we don't dive into them. And that's a waste. And these types of waste prevent sustainability. So this is the book. It was recently published. And I'm going to share some ideas and tools that I developed while working on this book. I want to start by saying that because of all these dramas, because of all these situations and pushbacks and frictions, as Lane expressed, I think that 10x innovation is not nearly enough to handle or respond to the amount of challenges that we're facing today as professionals, societies, humans, name it. Okay? We have to be 10x innovative at the 10th of the time if we want to start moving the needle somewhere. So I will talk about dramas and innovation. I will talk about a framework I developed called Things to be Done, which is a way of dealing with wicked problems and dramas. I will then give a few examples how I'm using things to be done and the idea of drama in the context of enterprise design, largely in the introduction of it to people who are completely against it, okay, for their own reasons. So, my story begins about 11 years ago. I was driving back from a meeting I had at a company I was advising at the time, and that meeting was really intense. I was trying to introduce some concepts, some theories, some frameworks, and all I was getting back was pushbacks, cynicism, rejections, comments. Things got a little depressing, I have to say. So that's not me, by the way, that's Tom Hardy. Driving in the movie Lock, which is brilliant. So I was actually driving the same as Tom is. And I was thinking to myself, wow, this was intense. This was really disturbing in a way, because I was trying to do something good, but then I met with so much complexity that where do I even begin addressing this mess? And then I had my eureka moment, and it was that what I was dealing with wasn't the innovator's dilemma, it was the innovator's drama. But my eureka moment didn't happen in a bath, and I couldn't run outside because I was in the middle of the highway driving at 100 kilometers an hour. So I was stuck with the drama, behind the wheel, just going. I was stuck in the motion. But from that day on, my entire perspective of innovation completely changed. And it changed towards something that was very operable. Because what I realized while I was driving, carrying on with this drama, like sitting in it, I realized that while we look at innovation as this holy grail, this something we want to bring or hold, this shiny object, in fact, getting there is a long and tedious process that is very often being pushed back. And the thing is that the process of innovating itself is so intense that it actually leads to a lot of rejection and abandonment, which is the exact opposite of what we want to do with innovation, because in innovation we want adoption of ideas, adoption of practices, adoption of improvements, okay? So there's this tension and conflict. So I began looking at innovation as a transformation that requires discovery. And that's two problems, not one. Because one is the transformation, which is figuring it out, clarifying it. But then the other one is, what do we have to discover while we innovate? And that's very contextual. That relates to very idiosyncratic characteristics of the current team that is working. And navigating between these different levels of complexity, like exploration and transformation, the intensities of these two determine the intensity of innovation. And there's a lot of facets and areas of attention required. So while we're dealing with these two problems, we also have to deal with distributing attention properly, which is very, very difficult in an age that's moving really, really quickly and is really, really disoriented and having attention deficiencies. Okay, so Lane mentioned it, like the long way and the short fuse. There's a huge tension there, and that tension activates us in a very, very interesting way. Because when we need to accept the intensity of this process, we need to deal not only with the operations, but also with the dramas, these like internal emotional responses that we get from people, which we usually push back ourselves, so we're actually contributing to the drama. But I was thinking to myself, wait a second. This drama is trying to tell you something. This drama is a valuable source of information, and if I'm able to sustain it, if I'm able to understand it, then there is a chance that I'll be able to accelerate the innovation operations. So let's talk a little bit, very, very briefly about dramas. So drama is something that happens to us when something unexpected happens. We have a vision, and reality contrasts with that vision. But the thing is that that's just the beginning of the story, because every time we have an obstacle along the way, we need to attend it. So actually, drama is an attention challenge. And when resources are scarce, knowledge is limited, diversity is significant, and challenges are really important, the amount of drama is intensifying. So we need to deal a lot with the drama in order to get to the dilemma and move forward. So if we are at a state A and we want to go to a state B, we will go through drama. Whether we understand this drama or not, whether we attend it or not, that will determine the way that this innovation process will actually manifest itself and be realized. So attention to drama, understanding it, deciphering it quickly, this is something that I thought I need to learn. Because there was obviously, some things change, some things happen, and they disrupt our attempts for disruptions. So, dramas, I don't have a monitor, so I'll look at it. When obstructions happen, they trigger a sequence of interplays. Okay, they require emotional, intellectual, and material resources. We need to hold the drama that we're feeling. We need to analyze it quickly and intelligently, and of course that takes time. And time is money, and money is scarce, and is not given to us easily. So this whole thing becomes a very, very enmeshed problem. And I want to give you a really a more concrete example for working experience. I was working with a bank recently on their digital tools, and one of the product managers there had this idea, which was important because he heard the need for the idea from clients, but he was convinced that the implementation would be extremely challenging. So he delayed attention to that idea. I urge him to draw the idea, to actually jump into the pool and say, like, forget about all the complexities, just tell me what you intend to do, but don't do that in a way that is, I will, because then you're only digging yourself a hole. Try to imagine what needs to happen so this idea is fulfilled. And he drew it down in a kind of a work breakdown structure, or a form of a mind map. And then he showed this breakdown to a colleague. And that colleague immediately identified something that was missing there, something that he didn't think about. And she directed his attention towards that thing. And then the drama disappeared, because that feature is already in production. So the thing is that if we are quick to identify the things that are holding us back, but if we allow ourselves to express them, then we are making significant steps towards resolving the dramas, being more creative, transforming quickly, and then obviously being more sustainable, because unsustainable creative processes are a huge and absurd waste of resources and energies and livelihood and hope and name it, okay? The fact that we are romanticizing creativity. I had a student once who told me that he didn't like me because I killed creativity. I said, why did I kill creativity? He said, like, you take the magic out of it. I said, like, but that's the whole point, isn't it? Like, we want to share it. Why keep it as a magic? There's no trick. There's just practice. We have to move away from a romantic approach of creativity into a more operational one. And it's not, for these reasons, I called my advisory InOps, which is very influenced by DevOps. For those who come from the technology area, from programming area, I think that DevOps is the biggest revolution in programming. We wouldn't have as much technology if we wouldn't be able to quickly debug, quickly publish, quickly monitor, and quickly reiterate, okay? We would still be stuck in huge NASA-like projects. Okay, so we need DevOps for innovation. So we need InOps. But InOps is dramatic, so we need to solve the drama first. The fact is that drama is kind of a two-edged sword. Drama is very useful, but it's also very scary. So it's actually used against us a lot of times. Okay, and so if we are not able to understand the drama and see where the drama is directed at us, we will kind of hold ourselves back and not fulfill our creative capacities. So I want to give you just a few examples of drama. This is a drama, okay? This is a drama. These are several dramas. Like you have one here, one here, one here. This is crazy, okay? This is a drama. Yeah? This is also a drama. And I want to explain to you why all of these are dramas. All of these are dramas because in them, there is something that is missing. There is a lacuna. A lacuna is an inherent missing, something that is not there. It's weird, but it is. We talk about moral lacunas, we talk about operational lacunas as flaws, but they're not flaws. They're just voids. Okay? So the void here is actually this. If we had clarity and direction, that drama would have looked completely different. If we had attendance and support, these dramas would have looked completely different. If we had appreciation for this knowledge and patience to acquire it, we wouldn't be thinking, oh, who's going to do that? No, we will be in completely different places. And if we had more concreteness, we would be able to understand these kind of high-level, theoretical, very important frameworks and actually bring them down to reality. Okay, and I will talk about later about imaginations and realization as a prerequisite to strategy and execution. So remember the movie Moneyball? And there was this meeting, there's this intense meeting where Brad Pitt is telling the old scouts that things have to change. And he's actually receiving a lot of pushbacks. But these pushbacks are an outcome of habits, knowledge, experience. So he needs to deal with habits, knowledge, experience in order to move the change that he's aiming for. Okay, and he goes like, there's really great companies, there's good companies, there's like 50 feet off, and then there's us. And I think that there's a lot of us. I think the world is full of us, okay? And I think that if we're kind of looking at the great and good things, and we're not paying attention to the us, we're missing. And that's why we need to accelerate our attention to drama. Because when we release that us, imagine what can happen. So, how do dramas work? Okay? So, there is a friction, there is a tension, and it triggers an emotional state. And that emotional state demands attention, but attention is expensive. So, it consumes valuable resources because we have to give it time. And then, if we don't, dramas aggregate. They kind of fuel themselves. And then we find ourselves with more emotional states, more attention, more research, more and more and more. And when I try to figure it out, it's like, what were the lacunas? Thought, okay, we're looking at the drama, but what are the lacunas inside them? And after a while, I figured out that there are 5 classes of lacunas. There are perception issues. We're missing something. We're not aware of it. There are recipe issues. We are aware, but something in the process is not working well. Maybe we didn't articulate it. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe it's a little bit outdated. But something in the process is missing. There is an inventory problem. We're missing a valuable resource. Okay, it's not there. It's not available to us. It could be a file. It could be an agreement. It could be a budget. It could be a time for a meeting. And if we don't have all these things, then we will get some confidence issues because we will feel that we're unable to deliver. And then, of course, endorsements is impossible. And you can also go back. If there is no endorsement, and Lane mentioned that earlier, something was not feeling trust. Something didn't have confidence. Why we didn't have confidence? Maybe there was something missing. A resource, a material. Maybe there was a material lacuna there. Or maybe the material lacuna was an outcome of a procedural lacuna. And obviously, a procedural lacuna is an outcome of a perceptive lacuna. So all is really nice. I was really happy. I was feeling really smart that I figured out how drama works, but then I found myself with a different problem. It had to happen really, really quickly, okay? Because we don't have time to mess around with these things. People tell us that we're too theoretical. So as the cycle of drama builds up, yeah, complexity undermines patience, consumes resource, undermines attentions, increases research, kills mindfulness, and now the cycle of drama is complete, and we have a wicked problem that's about to blow up. Okay, and when a wicked problem blows up, it radiates all over, and it creates tons of dramas. So, the problem is decomposing wicked problems. Now, when Horst Rittel imagined the idea of wicked problem, he didn't imagine it as an excuse. I think he imagined it as a challenge. We need to figure those wicked problems out. How do we do that quickly? Well, in the past 5 years, I've been doing a research project at the Holon Institute of Technology. It's a postgraduate research institute. And what I was doing together with a colleague, Professor Dr. Dror Lavi, what we were doing is we took batches of later year students who are working on their projects and experiencing dramas. And we tell them, listen, you're going to come to a 1-week acceleration program. And then we surprised them in the very first day of the program. We told them, we don't want to hear your we don't want to hear your presentations. We don't want to see your decks. We want you to draw a mind map. And mind map is something so spontaneous, so easy. And when they drew a mind map and they put it on the wall, we were asking them to look at what's not there. So what was missing in your own mind maps? Maybe it was missing clarity. Maybe it was missing order. Maybe it was missing a piece of information. What happened next was that those practitioners who were actually introducing dramas became explorers of their own dramas. And that made it really, really easy because there was no need to say, you have this and that problem. Because when we do that, what we get immediately is another drama. Why are you telling me that? So I took this, this was all part of this methodology I was working on called Things to be Done, which uses a particular type of mind maps called a gap sketch. The gap sketch basically asks, say, what are the goals? What are the necessary achievements? And what are the projects necessary to create this big picture? And if we're unable to create that, we have a drama, but a very particular one. And if we're messing it up, then we have another drama and a particular one. And if we're putting two maps together and there's disagreements, then we know where the drama is. And by doing that, okay, and this is in a project I was doing with the Israeli Social Security Office, that same office that spent, it initiated a project for digital transformation. It was supposed to cost 300 million shekels and take 10 years. It ended up costing 1.2 billion shekels, taking 20 years. It's still in progress. No one knows when it's going to end. Okay, it's that same office. And I was leading a digital transformation workshop there with us managers. And they came up with those big ideas, and I told them, fantastic. How are you going to do that? How are you going to implement these ideas? It's like, we don't know. We're going to hire a contractor. It's like, but if you hire a contractor, you're giving away money. Okay? You're giving away any ownership of your own project, and you still don't know what's going to happen. So please draw it down. And they drew it down, and they said, oh my God, we forgot this problem, and this problem, and this problem, and this problem, and this problem. And from that moment on, the conversation was completely different. It wasn't like you're doing everything wrong. It was like, hey, what can we do right? And that's when the drama changed. So I called my framework Things to be Done, because if we want to go from a jobs to be done and we want to get things done, there's plenty of things to be done. And we need to figure out those things. And most of these things are operationals, like set up a meeting, make this phone call, ask this person, all right? And we completely ignore them. And when we completely ignore them, we get to the meeting and we ask, did you speak to that person? No. Okay, next meeting is in 3 months. That's a waste of time. So, if we apply Things to be Done, if we look for the dramas, if we look for these lacunas, and we seek them, we're actually able to improve our creativity and speed. I'll move quickly to the last part. Things to be done in an enterprise setting. Okay? We think that we're dealing with complicated enterprises. We're actually dealing with knowledge and skills gaps. We're dealing with theory and practice gaps. We're dealing with strategy and execution gaps. We're dealing with imagination and realization, learning and development, mindfulness communications, and we're dealing with them at the same time. You know this innovation, this diffusion curve? It was made in 1962. We are in 2023. It's not linear. It's just a picture of population. You have this and this and this and this. But in a highly democratic world, we meet everyone at once, right? It's like there's no meeting that's like, bring the innovators, only them. All right? So we have to deal with these tensions and conflicts. So there's a versatile talent base. We approach things from the top down. We actually oppress. When we approach things from the bottom up, we actually create chaos. So we need to have like this middle spiral thing that we can just jump in and catch something and start moving so we're not stuck. Because if we're stuck in the flow, we create drama instead of progress. So, you draw the gap, you identify the lacuna, and then you suggest a valuable framework, which edgy is a valuable framework. So I'm using things to be done as an early stepping stone to get into the world of enterprise design for people who are not like us, really enthusiastic about enterprise design. They don't know about enterprise design. They don't care about enterprise design. They want to go home, okay? But we have to get them aware. We have to get them informed. So I'm asking them to draw the problems, and when they draw the problems, it's like, oh, I have this problem here, I have this problem here. Then you pull up the magic, and it says like, wait, there's this thing called design thinking. There's this thing called enterprise design. There's this thing called DevOps. There's this thing called agile. There's also amazing things that we just need to contextualize. So, in one project, we went through the gap sketch and we found out that there was a product issue. And the product issue was created due to a capability issue related to a process issue. Now we have a good starting point. So we don't have to kind of tell the whole thing. We just have to find the right door in. And when we're in, we can say, oh, you know, it also affects the brand. It also affects other facets of your organization. It also affects how you experience us, okay? Another, slightly different, but still the same principle. You draw the gap, you identify the lacuna, and you use the lacuna, you use the drama to introduce a liberating structure instead of having the drama suppress you as a mechanism of governance. And we desperately need liberating structures now, okay? Like the world is crumbling under an enterprise design of democracies, capitalism, which are still works in progress, evolving, and plenty of dramas. Politics, money, name it, okay? There's so many challenges, we need just to find the door instead of kind of looking for the saviors. So, if we attend these issues, I guarantee you 100x innovation, okay? And it could be more projects, or it could be the same projects in less time, which would leave you time for more projects, okay? If we take out the drama from the creative process, and if we improve the performance of creativity, we're actually making a huge contribution to the sustainability of this planet. You can read more about it in my book. You can go to the website, or it's also published on Substack, because I'm a product manager and I work in progress. So it's this is like the last version. This is the new version, also evolving. Thank you very much for your time. I'm here for your questions.
I work in progress. Beautiful closing words, Yorai. What does this do to you? Any comments, questions, feedbacks for our friend on stage?
Thank you, Yorai. Just a quick question. Do you believe a wicked problem can be decomposed?
Sorry?
Do you believe a wicked problem can be decomposed?
Can be?
Decomposed?
Yes, definitely.
You do?
Yeah.
And you're proposing that this framework is something that helps with that decomposition?
Definitely. When I mean decomposing it, you could decompose it and explore if it's reasonably, if it's not that wicked, okay? If it's wicked because of knowledge gaps, or because of experience gaps, if because things you can close in a conversation. If you create the conversation, you actually move the wickedness away. But sometimes you have problems which are so wicked that we need to acknowledge them as they are really wicked problems that we need to invest tons of time to. Like the NASA moon project was a wicked problem, but a very successful wicked problem. And I'm reading a book about it, forgot the name of the author, about huge endeavors like that. But in order to get to an endeavor like that, you need to agree that there is a huge problem. And a lot of the problems that we're facing now are consequences of disagreements that there is a problem. Well, I'm coming from Israel. If you're listening to the news, we are a wicked problem, okay? But it occurs because there's so many disagreements and no one admits that this problem is really, really complicated. I mean, it can't be solved in a quick kind of, creative motion.
So I'm interested in the dynamics of the drama. Are you in favor of introducing drama when there is no drama?
That's a great question. Sometimes introducing drama is a good thing because when there is no drama, it doesn't mean that there's no drama. It means that it's just so suppressed. It means that it's so hidden, that the lacunas are so well hidden. So sometimes you have to just poke the monster to wake it up. And when it wakes, it starts screaming and shouting and moving all over, and then you have dramas. So the problem is that we are very scared of dramas because we've been taught that dramas are bad, right? Like, don't do that. So we kind of said okay, don't poke the bear. Don't wake up the dramas. Let's just go on. But what we're doing when we're not addressing dramas, we're actually creating enterprise debts. And enterprise debts are a huge source of dramas down the road.
Anyone else?
I'll be here for the rest of the conference, so feel free to share any dramas you want with me. Thank you.
Once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.